The CEO told the technician, "Fly this plane and I'll make you rich," but she never expected the truth. "Go on, fly this plane. Do it successfully, and I'll make you rich." Like, comment and subscribe as I bring you the story of the Camille Hartman who thought she was humiliating a low-level technician on the rooftop. Until the day her jet exploded mid-air, and she realized the same man she mocked was the only one who knew how to save her life. Those were the words that echoed across the rooftop of the Horizon Aerodyne Tower, one of Chicago's tallest skyscrapers, as 30 high-ranking executives burst into laughter. The person speaking was Camille Hartman, the ruthless, sharp-tongued CEO of the billion-dollar aviation tech empire. And the man she was humiliating publicly, a quiet, reserved systems technician named Evan Ross, a man she believed was beneath her. Cameras were recording, investors were smirking, even the engineering team exchanged mocking glances. Camille tossed the digital cockpit keycard at Evan's feet, as if she were tossing scraps to someone unworthy of respect. "Go on," she said, her voice dripping with arrogance. "Pick it up. Let's see how far your technical maintenance knowledge can take you." More laughter followed. Evan slowly bent down, picked up the keycard, and stood straight again. He didn't argue. He didn't defend himself. He didn't flinch. But the look in his eyes changed. A calmness, a precision, a focus that didn't belong to a simple technician. In that moment, Camille had no idea she had just challenged a man whose true identity could destroy her pride and save her life. Because in less than 72 hours, the private plane she was preparing to fly would suffer a deadly explosion. And the only person who knew how to keep her alive was the man she mocked. Before we continue, please like this video, comment where you're watching from, and subscribe so more amazing people can enjoy stories like this. Now, let's move deeper into the story. Horizon Aerodyne was not just another aviation tech company. It was the fortress that protected Chicago's airspace, the creator of cutting-edge jet innovation, and the silent partner behind several government aviation contracts. After the mysterious death of its founder, Helena Hartman, the company passed into the hands of her only daughter, Camille. But unlike her mother, Camille led with an iron fist. Boardrooms feared her, employees avoided her, departments prepared weeks in advance for her inspections. She was brilliant, undeniably brilliant. Her business instincts were sharp. Her strategic mind was ruthless. But her heart, locked behind years of bitterness, distrust, and grief. The explosion that killed her mother wasn't an accident. But Camille never knew that. One person, however, had suspected it from the moment he stepped into Horizon Aerodyne 2 years ago. Evan Ross. Evan had one of the least glamorous jobs in the company, systems and diagnostics technician. He repaired faulty instrument panels. He checked flight simulation wiring. He calibrated sensors, tested emergency protocols, and maintained security software. Quiet work, invisible work. He never bragged, never argued, never interrupted. Most people thought he was shy. A few thought he was too gentle for a high-pressure aviation environment. Only one person didn't like him at all. Nathan Drake, the head of operations. Nathan pretended to be charming, but underneath the surface was a man with deep secrets, secrets that began the day Helena Hartman's plane exploded. And somehow, Evan's presence made him nervous. Why? Because Nathan knew something was off about Evan. Evan wasn't just a technician. There was a quiet discipline about him. The way he walked, deliberate. The way he spoke, measured. The way he observed everything around him, too precise. And Nathan hated precise people. 2 days before Camille humiliated Evan on the rooftop, he made a discovery that chilled him to his core. It started when he noticed small purple stains near one of the jets in Hangar C, the plane Camille was scheduled to fly 3 days later. He crouched down, rubbed the residue between his fingers, and froze. It was VX-99, a highly volatile aviation additive used only in black market aircraft sabotage. The substance was illegal in the U.S. Only military investigators and underground saboteurs knew about it, and someone had smeared it deliberately near the jet's fuel intake panel. Evan didn't panic. His breathing simply grew deeper and slower, like a man remembering something painful. Footsteps echoed behind him. He stood up quickly. Nathan Drake stepped into the hangar, adjusting his tie. "What are you doing in here?" Nathan asked. "Routine diagnostics," Evan replied calmly. Nathan walked closer. Too close. Well, he said, make sure you don't go digging into things outside your clearance level. Wouldn't want you stumbling into sensitive areas. Evan understood the threat immediately. Nathan walked away, but he made one critical mistake. He looked back. Just for a second. Just long enough for Evan to know. Nathan was hiding something. Later that evening, as Evan reviewed sensor logs in the lower hall, someone tapped his shoulder lightly. It was Lena Brooks, the HR manager. Soft-spoken, observant, always watching from the background. Evan, we need to talk, she whispered. He followed her into a small empty break room. You're being monitored, she said bluntly. Your access history was flagged today. By who? Evan asked. She shook her head nervously. I don't know yet, but be careful. And she reached into her coat pocket and handed him a small object. A compact audio recorder. You'll need this soon, she whispered. If you hear anything, record it. Trust me. Evan stared at the device in his hand. Lena leaned closer. Evan, something is wrong at Horizon. Really wrong. Then she walked away, leaving Evan alone with a tool he never expected he would need again. The next morning was the infamous rooftop event. Media, executives, investors, everyone had gathered for the launch of Horizon Aerodyne's new Jet Sim X7 simulator. It was supposed to be a proud moment for the company. Instead, it became a stage for Camille's arrogance. And Evan was her target. When she tossed him the keycard and challenged him to fly the simulator, the entire rooftop reacted like a stadium waiting for a spectacle, mocking, whispering, anticipating his failure. But Evan didn't fail. He inserted the keycard, powered the simulator, sat calmly in the cockpit, and began to fly. As Evan moved through the simulation, the room changed. His hands flowed across the controls with ease. His posture straightened. His entire energy shifted. From technician to pilot, a real pilot, experienced, trained, confident. He executed maneuvers many commercial pilots would struggle with. Engineers exchanged stunned looks. One murmured, "No, that's not possible. He knows advanced combat maneuvers." Nathan's jaw tightened. Camille, humiliated by her own challenge, forced an awkward smile. Well, impressive for someone who fixes wires. The crowd laughed again. Not because it was funny, but because they feared her. Evan quietly stepped out of the simulator and walked away. But Nathan's eyes followed him with pure calculation. That night, Evan followed a lead Lena unintentionally gave him. There was an old archive room on the lower level, one that hadn't been opened since Helena Hartman's death. Evan used a bypass code he wasn't supposed to know, slipped inside, and began searching through dusty files. And then he saw it. A thick black folder labeled Project Red Sky, Confidential, Authorized Access, Helena Hartman Only. He opened it carefully. Inside were financial records, engine modification schematics, chemical purchase orders, personal notes written by Helena herself. And then, one page that made Evan's blood run cold. If anything happens to me, it was not mechanical failure. Someone inside Horizon is planning something. Evan stared at the page. His jaw clenched. His heartbeat slowed. The mission that ruined his life flashed through his mind. Fire, betrayal, screams, metal tearing apart. He closed his eyes. He knew this feeling. This was sabotage. The same kind of sabotage that once cost him everything. Suddenly, footsteps, voices. Evan turned off the lights and hid behind a metal cabinet. Nathan Drake entered the archive room with 2 security officers. Nathan's voice was low but clear. Make sure Ross doesn't interfere. If he sticks his nose anywhere else, handle it. Evan's breath stilled. He finally understood. Nathan wasn't just hiding something. He was orchestrating it. At 4 a.m., before most employees arrived, Evan slipped into Hangar C. He opened the engine access panel of the jet Camille planned to fly the next day. There it was, a pressure-triggered detonator, hidden behind cooling conduits, connected to the fuel line. If the aircraft hit turbulence at cruising altitude, the engine would erupt like a bomb. Instant death. Evan stood completely still for a full minute, processing, calculating, remembering. He knew he couldn't disable it without triggering it. So he did something brilliant and dangerous. He adjusted the timing mechanism. Now the explosion would trigger at 3,000 feet, not 25,000. A small blast. Survivable. Terrifying, but survivable. He began writing a step-by-step emergency guide for Camille. How to handle sudden engine fire. How to stabilize pitch. How to avoid a stall. How to land on open terrain. How to force a glide into a lake. He wrote fast but precise, the handwriting of a disciplined pilot. When he finished, he folded the instructions neatly. Tomorrow, he would slip them inside the cockpit. It was the only way to save her life. Camille crossed paths with Evan that morning. He tried, one more time, to warn her. "Ma'am, the aircraft's diagnostics." "Stop," she snapped. "I'm not taking safety advice from someone who fixes cables. It's important." She stepped closer. "You are a technician, nothing more. Know your place." Then she walked away. Nathan, watching from a corner, smirked. Evan exhaled deeply. Time was running out. The day of Camille's flight arrived. She walked into Hangar C in a sharp black suit, ready to fly. Evan needed just 3 minutes alone with the plane. So he created a diversion. As Camille's assistant approached with her morning latte, Evan, accidentally, bumped the intern. The coffee splashed all over Camille's clothes. Her scream echoed through the entire hangar. "Are you insane? You're finished. Escort him out." Security rushed toward him. Camille stormed away to change. And in those precious 3 minutes, Evan slipped up the aircraft steps, opened the cockpit, placed the emergency instructions on the pilot's seat, along with a small metal coin. His Air Force Challenge coin. A piece of his past he had sworn never to reveal. Then he disappeared before anyone noticed. Camille returned moments later. As she climbed into the cockpit, she saw the folded papers. And the coin. She frowned, opened the note, and her blood ran cold. "This aircraft has been sabotaged." Her breath quickened. She looked down at the coin in her hand. Heavy, metallic, engraved with the emblem of an elite military unit. The same unit she remembered seeing years ago in news reports, the elite pilots known for impossible missions. She looked out of the cockpit window. And at the far end of the hangar, Evan Ross was watching, not with fear, not with anger, but with the calm sorrow of a man who had seen too many disasters. And was about to face another. Camille swallowed hard. Something was terribly, terribly wrong. And she had just realized. The technician she humiliated was not who she thought he was. Not even close.
The engines of the Horizon Aerodyne jet hummed with flawless precision as Camille settled into the pilot's seat. Outside the hangar, technicians moved back and forth, unaware that the aircraft they were fueling was moments away from becoming the center of a national investigation. Camille's hands trembled slightly, not because of fear, but because she kept glancing at the folded emergency notes on her lap. And at the coin, the same military challenge coin she had seen only in documentaries about America's most elite air operatives. Why would a technician have something like this? Who exactly was Evan Ross? She shook the thoughts away. "Pre-flight check completed," she murmured. Her co-pilot, a young intern assigned to assist her, nodded nervously. He sensed tension, but didn't dare ask. The control tower gave clearance. "Flight A97, you're clear for takeoff." Camille pushed the throttle forward. The jet rolled onto the runway. Inside the hangar, Evan watched from the shadows, his jaw tight, hands trembling. He whispered to himself, "Read the instructions. Stay calm. You can do this." The jet picked up speed, and then it lifted into the air, climbing higher, faster, toward danger Evan had tried desperately to prevent. 3 minutes into the flight, the clouds grew darker. Not enough to alarm a trained pilot, but enough to create turbulence. Camille checked the gauges. Altitude, 2,100 feet. Rising. She swallowed hard. Her eyes flicked to the instructions. "Do not exceed 3,000 feet. Trust this warning." Her breath hitched. Was she really going to trust a man she humiliated? A man who never defended himself? A man she barely acknowledged? The plane jolted suddenly. A small violent shake. The intern jumped. "What was that?" "Turbulence," Camille said quickly, masking her fear. She flipped through the instructions again. "If you hear a loud pop, brace. That is the detonator going off early." Her heart pounded against her ribs. The sky darkened. Wind battered the wings. "Altitude is 2,800, the intern reported. "Stop climbing," Camille snapped. "What, ma'am? We're supposed to." "I said stop climbing," She pushed the controls down. The jet leveled, barely. Then it happened. Pop! A muted explosion rippled through the engine, followed by a violent jolt that threw Camille forward. The intern screamed. Warning alarms blared. Red lights flashed across the dashboard. Engine 1 failure, the system shouted in robotic urgency. Smoke flooded the left side of the aircraft. Camille froze. The instructions fell into her lap. One line stared back at her. Do not panic, you can survive this. She inhaled sharply. Her mother's face flashed through her mind. The newspaper reports, the funeral, the unanswered questions. Something inside Camille cracked open. For the first time in her life, she felt fear, real fear, and she realized she was no longer in control. The plane tilted violently to the left as smoke billowed from the damaged engine. "Ma'am, what do we do?" the intern cried, gripping the seat. Camille forced herself to move. Okay. Follow my lead," she said, voice shaky. She grabbed the instructions. Her eyes darted across the page. Reduce throttle, stabilize pitch, do not fight the wind. Turn toward open space. She swallowed hard. Reduced thrust, hold slightly on the yoke. The plane obeyed, barely. The intern wiped tears from his eyes. "We're going to crash." "No," Camille replied through clenched teeth. "We're going to land." Evan Ross's words echoed in her mind. His calm face, his steady eyes, his silence at the rooftop event. He wasn't a technician. He was something more, something dangerous, something good. She, follow the next instruction. If you see water below, aim for it. Below them, through the smoke and chaos, she spotted it. A frozen lake on the outskirts of Chicago. The plane dipped lower, altitude, 1,200 feet, then 900, then 500. "Brace," Camille whispered. The intern squeezed his eyes shut. The jet hit the ice. Crack! The sound thundered across the lake. The aircraft skidded, tearing through the frozen surface, crashing into freezing water that swallowed the wings. Metal screamed, cabin lights flickered. Then, silence. The plane settled, half submerged but alive. Camille gasped for breath, trembling, eyes wide in shock. She had survived, because she listened to Evan. By the time the emergency response team arrived, video clips of the smoky descent were already trending online. Reporters swarmed the shoreline, helicopters hovered above the lake. Police barricaded the area. Within minutes, headlines flashed across every screen. Breaking. Horizon Aerodyne CEO survives suspicious mid-air explosion. Was it sabotage? WHO saved Camille Hartman. Inside the company, a wave of panic swept through the halls. Lena Brooks covered her mouth in shock. Nathan Drake turned pale. Security teams scrambled. And Evan knew time had run out. He wasn't just trying to save Camille anymore. He was now tied to a national aviation investigation. Before authorities could reach him, Evan slipped out of the hangar and disappeared into the old maintenance tunnels beneath the Horizon Tower. He knew the building better than anyone. He found an abandoned storage room and waited, heart pounding, until the news confirmed. Camille was alive. He exhaled deeply. For the first time in years, he allowed himself a moment of relief. But then he heard footsteps above him. Voices. Find Ross. He was in Hangar C before the flight. Bring him in immediately. Evan's blood chilled. He knew they were coming. He couldn't stay. He grabbed his backpack. Nothing inside but a few tools, a folded photograph, and the uniform he used to wear before his life fell apart. He slipped out through a side exit and vanished into the city. Camille was wrapped in blankets inside a heated ambulance, shivering violently as paramedics treated her minor injuries. Reporters shouted questions outside the window, but Camille focused on one thing: the coin. She held it tightly in her palm. She finally spoke to the chief investigator, her voice cracking. "That man, Evan Ross, he saved my life." "Evan Ross," the investigator repeated. Camille nodded. "He left these." She handed him the emergency instructions. He scanned them quickly. His eyes widened. "This handwriting, these procedures," he muttered. "These aren't from a technician." Camille looked up sharply. "What are you saying?" The investigator looked at her, stunned. "Ma'am, whoever wrote this was highly trained. This is advanced military protocol for emergency descent. This is elite-level piloting." Camille's heart skipped. The investigator continued, and this coin, he held it up. This is the emblem of the Shadow Wing Squadron. Camille's breath caught. Shadow Wing was a legendary Air Force unit, known only to insiders. A unit rumored to be behind near-impossible rescue missions. A unit Evan Ross was never supposed to be part of. But he was. He had to be. Back at Horizon headquarters, Nathan Drake paced inside his glass office, sweating. The explosion wasn't supposed to be survivable. Camille wasn't supposed to come back alive. And now, she was asking about Evan. Security officers intercepted him. Sir, Camille survived. Nathan's jaw tightened. We know, he snapped. She's asking for Ross. Investigators want him found immediately. Nathan forced a smile. Well, let's help them find him. But as soon as the officers walked away, Nathan's smile collapsed. He pulled out his phone. Made a call. He's still alive. Nathan hissed. Yes, Camille too. I don't care how. Just find Ross before the investigators do. He hung up, closed his office blinds, and then punched his desk so hard the glass cracked. Later that evening, Camille was escorted to the hospital for further evaluation. But her mind wasn't on her injuries. It was on Evan. Every sound, every instruction, every detail in that emergency note felt like someone who knew exactly how to handle disaster. Someone trained, someone experienced. Then she remembered the rooftop, the simulator, the precision with which Evan flew it, all the clues she ignored. No technician can do what he did, she whispered. Her chest tightened. She realized something painful. She had mocked a man she didn't understand, dismissed someone who was far more valuable than she ever imagined. And because of that, he was now gone. The next morning, Camille left the hospital against medical advice. She arrived at Horizon Aerodyne with a fire in her eyes employees had never seen before. She pushed past security, stormed into the boardroom. Nathan stood up, startled. Camille, you should be resting. Where is Evan Ross? She demanded. Nathan blinked, pretended ignorance. Evan, why would you want him? He caused a disturbance yesterday. We had to remove him. Camille stepped closer, her voice sharpened. Nathan, the plane was sabotaged. The room froze. Silence. Nathan swallowed. I don't know what you mean. I found a detonator in my aircraft, Camille said. The same kind used in the explosion that killed my mother. Gasps filled the room. Now Nathan looked genuinely afraid. But Camille wasn't finished. And the only reason I'm alive, she continued, is because Evan Ross gave me instructions to survive. He knew exactly what would happen. He saved me. Nathan's face drained of color. Camille stepped even closer, so close their eyes locked. And you know exactly why he knew. Nathan opened his mouth, but Camille didn't let him speak. Director Pierce from the Federal Aviation Bureau is on his way here, she said. And he's bringing a specialized task force with him. Nathan's hands began to shake. Camille whispered, this time, you won't escape.
Within hours of the near disaster, Horizon Aerodyne became the center of national attention. FBI agents and the Federal Aviation Bureau stormed the building. Cameras, lights, reporters, everything the company had built to look professional was now under scrutiny. Camille escorted investigators through Hangar C, the place where Evan Ross had planted the instructions and coin. She handed over the folded emergency notes. One agent, Director Rowan Pierce, squinted at the handwriting. This isn't standard maintenance protocol, he said. These instructions, only someone with advanced military flight training could write this. Combat experience, tactical knowledge, look at the precision. Camille swallowed hard. She finally admitted the truth to herself. The man she had humiliated, mocked, dismissed, was a hero. Her pulse raced as she realized how close she had come to death. Meanwhile, Evan had retreated to a safe location. He watched the news. The coverage showed Camille alive, the aircraft damaged but intact, investigators combing the hangar. But the story wasn't about him, yet. Director Pierce called Camille personally. She saved herself because someone provided instructions, Pierce said. We need to locate that person immediately. Evan had no intention of revealing himself, not yet. But Camille, knowing the truth, decided she would find him herself. Camille tracked Evan to a discreet maintenance facility he often used. She found him quietly inspecting another aircraft, checking sensors and software. She approached carefully. Evan, she said, voice trembling, but firm. He didn't turn immediately. He kept working. I owe you my life, she said. And I need to understand everything. He finally looked up. Camille, he said, calm. You were supposed to follow the instructions. That's all. She stepped closer. The coin, the notes, the simulator, everything. Who are you really? Evan's eyes darkened with memories. I was a pilot, he admitted. Special operations, combat, missions you couldn't imagine. I was supposed to protect you. Tears pricked Camille's eyes. You saved me, she whispered. And I treated you like nothing. Evan nodded. You followed orders. I followed mine. The weight of silence pressed between them. Finally, Camille said, I underestimated you. I judged you by appearances. I mocked you. And yet, you saved my life. Evan's gaze softened slightly. Sometimes, people hide strength in silence. Sometimes, heroes wear ordinary faces. Nathan Drake was caught by federal investigators later that day. His attempts to sabotage Camille had been documented on the hidden recording Evan had left in the cockpit. Financial fraud, threats, corporate malfeasance. He confessed everything under pressure, knowing his schemes had failed. Camille watched from the observation deck as Nathan was escorted away in handcuffs. Justice had been served, and the weight of the past 3 days began to lift. Camille returned to Horizon Aerodyne headquarters. She called an emergency meeting for all employees. She stood before her executives, investors, and staff. Her voice was firm, clear, and full of sincerity. Effective immediately, she began, Horizon Aerodyne will undergo a complete transformation. She outlined improved safety protocols with oversight from Evan Ross, new mentorship programs for employees at all levels, financial support and training for veterans, mental health resources for all staff, mandatory respect for every team member, regardless of title. Evan Ross was present, but quiet, observing. Camille turned to him and said, You will oversee all flight safety programs. Not because I asked you to, but because you earned it. Your skills, your dedication, your bravery, they saved my life. And they deserve respect. Evan simply nodded. I'll do my job, he said. And make sure no one else suffers from sabotage or neglect. Applause filled the room, but this time it was real. Camille and Evan stood together on the rooftop, watching the sunset behind the skyline. Her voice was soft, reflective. I learned something important, she said. You never know the strength someone carries beneath the surface. You never know who will save your life, literally or metaphorically. Evan nodded. And humility is as important as skill. Pride blinds people faster than danger. She looked at him, a slight smile breaking through. Thank you, for showing me the truth. And for reminding me that courage doesn't always wear medals. Evan responded simply. Everyone has battles you don't see. Respect them. Narrator, voiceover style. Moral 1. Never judge someone by their title or appearance. Heroes come in unexpected forms. Moral 2. Courage isn't just fighting enemies, it's protecting those who cannot protect themselves. Moral 3. True leadership comes from respect, humility, and integrity, not fear or arrogance. Words of encouragement. To everyone watching, your strength is not defined by how others see you. Your purpose may be hidden. The person you underestimate today could be the one who changes everything tomorrow. Be vigilant, be kind, be courageous, and trust in your abilities. Months later, Evan trains new pilots, including veterans, in advanced flight safety. Camille has become a more empathetic, grounded leader. Horizon Aerodyne flourishes with renewed trust and transparency. The story of courage, humility, and redemption goes viral. Millions watch and learn. Evan hands a student the same Air Force Challenge coin he once used to save Camille. Voiceover. Remember, every person has a story you cannot see. Every life carries value. Every act of courage, no matter how quiet, can change the world. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like, comment your thoughts below, and subscribe for more powerful, life-changing stories. Share it with someone who needs to hear this today. Because the person you underestimate may just be the one who saves you. See you in our next video. We love you.